live?
This is science I've got here.
Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for coming back to another episode of Streaming School. My name is Leon Haley and it's my great pleasure to introduce another lesson for the wonderful Alex Maddox. How are you, Alex?
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Yes, I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Really well, really well. I've got a little one who wants to do homeschooling with us today, so she's giving us her full attention.
Fabulous. First-hand feedback. Brilliant.
Brilliant. Well, the floor is yours, Alex, so please take it away.
Fabulous, lovely, thank you. Bueno, pues muchas gracias. Bienvenidos a la siguiente clase de El Español conmigo. Yo soy la profesora Maddox y hoy vamos a hablar sobre el español. So again, today we're going to talk about Spanish. My name is Mrs. Maddox. It's another lesson. Today, lesson number 7 in Streaming School. Today, I'm going to take you to a very difficult subject of past tense in Spanish. Well, my students normally are a little bit afraid of this, and they avoid, as they can, talking about past activities because they think that building something in Spanish in the past is tricky. But today we are going to try to demonstrate that it's not, and hopefully you are going to become a confident user of the past tense in Spanish. So let me take you through this PowerPoint in which I prepared the nitty-gritties of the past tense. You will see, it's going to be easy. So, bienvenidos a la clase de español número 7. Okay.
Where's the sangria? Yeah.
Oh, this is not. What is happening?
Everything okay, Alex? Yeah, I can see your screen perfectly.
Yes, where is my...
We can see your screen perfectly when you're on it.
Yeah. Okay. Something is just hiding my... Right, something's hiding the full screen view. Never mind. So, a la clase de español número 7...
Sorry, Alex, if you just go to... sorry to interrupt you, Alex. If you just go to... Yeah, there you go.
There you go. Yeah, fine. So, la fecha de hoy es jueves, el 30 de abril de 2020. So, again, today's date is Thursday, the 30th of April of 2020. ¿Qué vamos a hacer hoy? What are we going to do today? Pues hoy vamos a hablar sobre el tiempo libre y vamos a repasar el pretérito. Simple past tense. So again, today we are going to talk about the free time and we are going to revise the preterite tense, el pretérito, the simple past tense. So this is the dreaded one. As I said to you before, this is something that the students are trying to avoid notoriously, but let's look at it and we're going to be very comfortable to use it. In Spanish, el pretérito, the preterite. But when you hear that word, although it sounds quite big and important, el pretérito, that means the past tense. Before we start, let's try on the screen, let's try matching the Spanish subject pronouns with the English ones. So on the left-hand side, you can see yo, tú, él, ella, nosotros, vosotros, ellos, ellas, 8 of them. Now let's try to match them with the English ones. She, they, he, you can see that. Well, first one, yo. You probably have guessed that. Yo is I. The thing with Spanish is that you don't always have to say them. When you build a sentence, you can easily skip those subject pronouns. Because I always say to the students, the ending in the verb already indicates who is doing the action. Okay, so yo, tú, you can skip them, but it's good to know. Yo and tú. You, singular. Él is nobody else but he. So él, mi padre, mi profesor, anybody who is male, and you talk about as he. So this is going to be that form, that verbal form you're going to be using. Now, ella, she, nosotros, we, vosotros, sorry, vosotros, you plural, you lot, you group, you people, ellos, they, masculine, and ellas, they for feminine. If we have a group of girls, there will be ellas. If the group is mixed, boys and girls, there will be ellos. Now, to build a form of a past tense, step one, you are going to find the infinitive of the verb and chop off the ending. What is the infinitive? Every time you are looking for a word in a dictionary, for a verb, the dictionary will give you an explanation. That meaning of, if you open a dictionary, the meaning you are going to find in a dictionary, that's your infinitive. So, visitar, to visit, is your infinitive. Comer, to eat, is your infinitive. Vivir, the infinitive is that's to eat is your infinitive. And there we go. Visit, com, bib. You chop off the ending. All right, the ending. I call it a head as well, because the verbs are like flowers. So you have a stem and a head. So you chop off, you take a saw, you chop off the head, you stay with the stem. So you've got visit, ar, comer, viv, ir. All right, every single verb, every single infinitive will have that head and have the stem. For step two, you are going to have to choose the person who is doing the action. You have to ask yourself, who is doing the action? Is it me who ate? Is it you who ate? Is it he or she who ate? Is it we? Is it you lot, or is it they who ate? So who is doing the action? All right. So that's your step two. Step three is very easy. Once you've chopped off the head, then you are left with the stem. Now, step three is you have to add the correct ending to make the verb in the past tense. That applies also to the future later on and the present, but today we are talking about the past. So chop off the head, you are staying with the stem and adding the ending. So now you have here a very simple example of the verb visitar. Visitar, to visit. And as you can see, I already have left the English words, English meaning. In English, it's easy because every single form is exactly the same. I visited, you visited, he or she, we, you lot. But that is not going to be the case of Spanish. That's why the students are always a little bit petrified. But that shouldn't be like this for as long as you remember the endings. Watch this. Visit. I've chopped off the head and I am adding the ending. Visite. I visited. Now you visitaste. Visitó. Visitamos. Visitasteis. And visitaron. So you can perfectly see that there are different endings depending who is doing the action. I have to underline the verb visite. Why? Because simply this is going to be the form that you are going to use the most. Visite. I visited. Mostly in your GCSEs, you are going to be talking about yourself. Foundation. Maybe sometimes if you are thinking of the higher, if you are feeling comfortable with using the past tense, thinking I'm going to the higher level, then yes, definitely. My advice would be know all of these forms, because in your text, in your writing, you want to include the information who is doing the action. But let's have a look. Let's see how it's formed. So
Hello?
yes, I don't know what's happened here.
No, just cut out for a second, that's all.
All right. I cannot change my next. I can't change to the next slide. I don't know what's happened here on my computer.
Okay.
It froze.
No problem. If you just press escape, it should take you back one.
Oh, I think I know. Oh, yes, I'm back. Brilliant. So let's see if you could do it by yourself. Now, the verb cantar. Cantar means to sing. Now, how would you say I sang? Obviously, top of the head ar, and that is going to change into cante. Cante, I sang. The verb montar. Montar means to ride the bike. Montar in the past would be, obviously, top of the AR, mont, look, monte. Next one, bailar. Bailar is to dance. If you want to say I dance, it's going to be baile, baile, I danced. The verb nadar, if you jog your memory, nadar means to swim. Top of the head, yes, you are getting nade, nade, I swam. Moving on to the next group of the verbs. In Spanish, you have got verbs that end in ar, or ir. This time, and ir. They are together because they are going to have the same endings in the past tense. So to say I ate, you are going to have to say, again, take the head off. You are staying with the stem, so you've chopped off the head of the verb. You are staying with the stem and adding more endings. So, comí, I ate. Comí. Comiste, you ate. Comió, he or she ate. Comimos, comisteis, comieron. Again, comí, comiste, comió, comimos, comisteis, comieron. Those are the endings for the past tense for the common verbs. So again, beber, you build it. Now, beber, chop off the head, you are saying with beb. And how would you say I drank? And you are right, it would be bebi, of course, bebi, I drank. Another example, leer, to read, leer. Leer, chop off the and you are staying with e. Lei, I read. Finally, perder. Perder is to lose, perder. Chop off the head, perdi, I lost. Fabulous. Now, you are going to have now the third group, ir, and the example here is bibir. So I lived, bibi, you lived, biviste, he or she lived, bibió, bibimos, we lived, bibisteis, you lot lived, and bibieron, they lived. Abrir is to open. How would you say I opened? You chop off the head, you are staying with the stem, it is obviously abri. Abri, I opened. Another example of the regular common verb from the ir part, from the ir group, is subir, to go up. Subir. Chop off the head, you are staying with sub, and obviously subi, I went up. Subi. Now, you are aware that there are lots of verbs in Spanish that are different to the normal verbs that are common and they are regular and fall for this pattern that I have just explained. One of those words that is exceptional is hacer, to do, to make. In our previous lessons, we pointed out that hacer is commonly used with the sports, like hacer el deporte, to do sport, hacer la vela, to do sailing, hacer el boxeo, to do boxing. So if you want to say I did something in the past, you're going to have to use that word, but in the past. So let's have a look. Hacer, to do. If I want to say I did or I made, it's hice. Then hiciste, hizo, hicimos, hicisteis, hicieron. Online, you will find examples of this if you type in conjugation of the verb hacer. So I'm just pointing out that this is different. Because if you look at the form of this word, you wouldn't guess necessarily that ife comes from hacer. But yes, it does. So let's say hacer deporte, to do sport, hice deporte. Hacer boxeo is hice boxeo. Hacer la cama, to make the bed, hice la cama. I made the bed. All right, I hope everybody did this morning. Anyway, if you were now to create this, the same, based on the same, on the same pattern, so if you have an infinitive over here on the left-hand side, you will have the present forms, which you remember they end in O, which we pointed out in our previous lessons. Now, pasado, the preterite, the past form, how would you say I played? You obviously chop off the ending, chop off the head here, and it's going to be, if you can remember, would be jugué. Now, cenar, to have dinner. Your job, again, cené. Ver, second group of verbs, ending in er. Although it looks a bit short and strange, yes, the form will be vi. I saw. Navegar, to surf. Navegué. Ducharse, me ducho. It's a reflexive verb. I'm pointing out that those words obviously exist and you will come across them. So me ducho, in the past, me duche. Now, acostarse, me acuesto. I go to bed. Me acosté. Vestirse, to get dressed. Another example of a reflexive verb. Me visto and me vestí. Verb from the ir group. So these are the common words that you would see as well if you talk about the daily routine, things you do in your free time activities. Another thing I wanted to point out today is that there are certain words that 100% will come up in your text when you talk about the past tense. So what's that as el año pasado, last year. Hace 2 meses, 2 months ago. El mes pasado, last month. Then we have la semana pasada, last week. El fin de semana pasado, last weekend. Hace 2 días, 2 days ago. Ayer, yesterday. Anoche, last night. If you think about it, if you are to talk about the past tense, you want to refer yourself to some point in the past. So those are the words that will commonly introduce the past tense. El año pasado, hace 2 meses, el mes pasado, la semana pasada, el fin de semana pasado, hace 2 días, ayer, anoche. So remember these words that pasado, you see the pattern here, the pasado, which means last, and hace, ago, hace 2 meses, hace 2 días, the words ago. And finally, if you were to introduce it in a little bit in a story, so the question would be, ¿Qué hiciste ayer? That would be a common example of an exam question. What did you do yesterday? You said, oh, ¿cuándo? When? Ayer por la tarde, yesterday afternoon. Bueno, pues hice muchas cosas. I did a lot of things. Cuando llegué a mi casa, when I arrived at home, dormí una siesta durante 20 minutos. You see, as you remember from my introduction, dormí. You can see the past tense here, dormí. I slept a siesta, which is a nap, a Spanish nap. Después, later, hice means deberes. Hice, I did my homework. De español y música, hice. También, also, vi la tele un poco con mis hermanos. I watched, vi. You see the past tense again used. Next one, hablé por teléfono. Hablé, I spoke. I spoke on the phone with my best friend. Navegué por internet. You see that navegué, again, that's ending that indicates past tense. Navegué por internet. Vi mis emails y mi Facebook. Vi, I saw, I watched. Cené con mi familia. Mi padre preparó hamburguesas y ensalada. You see, cené, past tense, and accentuated o, preparó. He prepared, then past tense. Como preparé mi mochila, I prepared my rucksack. Preparé. Me duché, I had a shower. Me duché. Leí un poco, I read. Y por último, finally, me acosté a las 10. And finally, I went to bed at 10 o'clock. So after this brief introduction and a couple of examples, I really hope that you know now how to create this past tense. And it's only a matter of remembering those endings that you will be able to create your own recount in the past tense, answer those questions, write something coherent about something that you did in the past. So please don't be afraid. Always remember of the pattern that the verbs are like flowers. They have the stem, they have the head, top of the head. Stay with the stem and add the right endings. This is the message for today. You will be able to use a little bit, look at the past tense a little bit more if you click on the YouTube clip that is going to be attached to this lesson, and you are going to be able to watch a story video in the past tense that I have included, and hopefully learn a little bit further. So, muchísimas gracias. Thank you very much for today. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you've learned something, and you're going to remember that. So, brilliant. Have a fantastic weekend. I will see you next week, and keep on learning. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. Yeah, really, really appreciate it, Alex. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day.
Thank you very much. You too. Enjoy.
Thank you.
Take care. Thank you.
Thank you. So, the learning goes from learning Spanish onto learning some English for our GCSE ESL learners, just to keep them on track and happy, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Fantastic. So we start again in 5 minutes on that one.
Yeah.
It's a quick turnaround this time.
Yeah, I know.
All right. See you in 5 minutes.